All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to Sawdust to Success podcast. I am Chad Murray, your host today. And so today I have a fun treat for everybody. It's George Hedley from Hardhat Business Biz Coach. And he is a gentleman that I'll let him tell his bio here in a minute, but he's a gentleman that I was in the place that I got trained to be a business coach. I guess you'd call it trained. Uh, an association where I was in with business coaching. We became good buddies because we were the only two blue collar coaches really in the deal. And so, to no further deal. Here we go. Hey, George,
How you doing, Big
doing
Chad?
well.
Chad's my hero. He knows how to automate everything. I love that.
I do know how to automate everything, and so let's go to your backstory. So let's who is George Hedley, and why would Chad have him on this podcast?
First of all, the reason I'm here because I'm not charging you today, so that's the only reason. And I really enjoyed talking to you. We have a lot of things in common. I started a construction company right out of college. I worked for a couple of years as an engineer, structural engineer, and then went to work for myself as a contractor. I got lucky, met a lady who needed a building built, and from the rest, I built my company over the next 7 years, 8 years. I went from zero to 50 million in sales back in the 80s in 7 years. Just keep building them up, just keep doing them, and all commercial construction, warehouse, office, industrial, shops, Home Depots, Costco's, Price Clubs, you name it. I've done it. Millions of square feet of industrial and warehouse building. Had my own concrete crews. Had about 150 employees at my peak. And so from the mid 80s through basically 2010, I had a construction business. And I was one of the bigger guys in town and just local, Orange County, Southern California, Los Angeles, basically North San Diego to the other side of Los Angeles. There's a big lot of millions of people, so a lot of
Right.
opportunities. And I was kind of a developer's contractor, worked for a lot of developers, a lot of manufacturing companies. They'd hire me direct, and so I provided full service, some design build, hire the architect, do all that, get the permits. And then I became more of a developer later on when I got a few years later. I started doing my own development, built about 20 projects with 5 to 10 buildings each, 100,000 square foot projects. And then when the recession hit in 2000, oh, I'm sorry, the depression hit 2008, 9, 10, I kind of said, this is, I think I'm old enough. I've got enough properties I own and some rent coming in, and I'm going to just shut her down. And along the way, I was speaking at World of Concrete for 20 years in a row on business principles for contractors, how to run your construction company, how to make money, how to manage your field, how to estimate, how to price jobs, your P&L, you name it. I did it and I've done it. And so I had a nice backlog of material. And so when I slowed down, basically stopped my construction business, I had a built-in coaching following because as I spoke at all these places, I did World of Concrete 26 years in a row or something like that. I had about 5 or 6 thousand people on my newsletter. So I do a monthly newsletter, and then I wrote a couple of books, which are pretty good bestsellers on Amazon. Hold on a minute, I'll show you one.
Actually, so you can while he's doing that, guys. His book is like right there behind me. Right, it's
This
one
is
of
my
those
new
books
one,
right there.
Chad. I just remodeled my old book
Oh,
and
okay, cool.
rewrote it and expanded it and brought it up to the current with new systems, and I got
Right.
everything. So anyway, so that's been good for me to have that. I write articles in 4 or 5 construction magazines every month: Masonry Magazine, Construction Business Owner, Modern Contractor Solutions, Masonry Magazine, Steel Magazine. Anyway, so that's what I do. I help contractors. I have coaching groups. I have about 60 clients that I work with on a regular basis, and that's my part-time job now.
Yeah. And
No,
so,
it's
so
really
I,
almost
I
full
didn't
time.
know. I didn't know that you just closed the doors. You didn't sell that business. I know.
No, no, economy was so bad.
Yeah.
The construction. I was doing 50 million a year, and then I started doing development, and uh, there wasn't any work. I mean, it was dead.
Yeah.
That the bomb of 2008, 9, 10. All the bankers foreclosed on everybody. You couldn't get a loan. Prices were so high, nobody would buy anything. Interest rates were stupid high. and there was just no work, and all the work was left. And I could bid a school against 27 bidders for no for zero profit to keep my crews busy. I'd rather play golf than keep my crews busy. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say that because I like my crews, but you know, transition. And I was at the age where I'm 60 plus then, and I just kind of like I don't want to start over again or wait for the economy to turn around.
Right.
So I did a lot of construction management over those next several years. I had some developer friends that still were building, and they would hire me to manage the whole process. So I'd hire the contractors, the architects, get it built for them. But I wasn't a contractor; I was just a consultant. So that was a lot of fun. But along the way, I learned all the pros and cons, and having clients really helped me. I knew what I knew, how to run a construction business. I didn't know what I didn't know, obviously. So
Yeah.
that's why I think the value of a coach is so important. They see things you don't even know about. So I've got all these construction clients. I've got some guys doing 150 million a year in sales, and I've got other guys doing 3 million a year. And they're all different, and they all have different needs. And you learn what works and what doesn't work. And had I known what I know now, I'm sure I would be, a lot more zeros on my bottom line, on my
Right.
income statement or my balance sheet. But it's fun to help people. So my passion is helping people, especially people I can help, like contractors and small
So
business guys and mediums. So it's fun.
okay, so that's that brings us up to your coaching and stuff, and so you got the 60 that you do. By the way, he does like conferences, and I've actually been to one or two. Spoke at one here in Dallas. I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Uh, and which was fun. And but so he does do one. George does do one-on-one, but his main gig is to join a leadership group. What do you call them?
I call
Masterminds.
them Hardhat Biz Group, construction business owner Hardhat Biz Groups. And we meet twice a year for 2.5 days in a roundtable setting. And it's just best practices, what works, what doesn't work. And I hold them accountable. Everybody shares their P&L, everybody shares their org chart, their job description, their personal goals, business goals. We all set goals. We all set core values. We all have commitments and achievements that we're trying to accomplish over the next period of months. And then I get on the phone with them or the Zoom, and some of them will have me come to their office for a couple of days, work out their business plan, their 5-year plan, or their org chart. I just got off the phone this morning with a client. We're going to create their core. We're going to work on their core values. We're going to get their org chart organized. It's all messed up. They've grown beyond the old school. We got to upgrade, and we got to get some new software in their company. And so, I'm helping them figure out what to do and what software to get. And you know, should I hire a bookkeeper, a controller, or a CFO? Those kind of questions. I mean, I've been doing it quite a while now, and I see what works and what doesn't work, and can't imagine trying to do it alone like I used to do. It's like
Oh, me too.
you hire three and you keep one if you're lucky. And,
4, 5. I mean, it's crazy. I've got a buddy of mine who's got a $12 million company there in Sacramento. He's a door and a chimney company. He does security doors. They actually manufacture them now too. But I mean, it is insane the revolving door at his business. And
yeah,
so, I mean, it's
well,
in
it's tough
California is a little different than
construction.
everywhere else. So, but
Well, and the guy I was talking to today is on the East Coast, in uh, Delaware or Connecticut. He's paying all his foremen $120,000. I mean, you can't make a lot of mistakes. Now, if you're in Dallas, everybody works for free, pretty much, right? Right, Chad? But, I mean, I got guys on the East Coast and the West Coast, the pay difference, they get paid double what they get in the Midwest.
right.
So a foreman will make $30 or $35 in Iowa, and the same guy will make, $60 in East Coast, West Coast, depending what city you're in. It's crazy. And these are
No,
all open shop, not union. Union's about the same pay. It's just more, the benefits are different.
yeah. Well, I
So
mean, as we talk about, as you kind of hit on that point, not having a coach. I was actually just I'm in a mastermind, not a mastermind, a networking group called Master Networks. I'm in a new one, a new branch. We just kicked off our second meeting today, And it's funny how, I'm telling guys, and a lot of these guys are startups. They're not really my ideal client quite yet.
Right.
But as I'm having conversations with them, it's like, they're telling me stuff they're doing, and I'm just like trying to hold back to say, well, I got so many things that you could do, right now, and I'm just trying to get to know these people. But it's like, if I had somebody like you said that would tell, I mean, I would have sold my business for three x of what I sold it for, knowing what
Right.
I know now. And so I was just at the point where I retired back in 2014 from operations, and I let it. It did 2.5x after I left, so with my guidance, and I left a little meat on the table. But I'm happy with what happened. But when it comes, so let's talk about you when you're coaching. So you kind of gave a little list of what you do for them and everything. So with contractors? I mean, a lot of the people who are going to be listening here are in home services, and they're going to be remodelers, so they're not the commercial construction, but
Right.
it's pretty similar. I mean, so what do you see on the people that are just starting to grow? And I'm not saying like brand new. What are their biggest mistakes that they make, you think?
Well, commercial. Most of my contractors many of them have a service department. It's just like, what your basic business was, but they're fixing electrician or plumbing or heating or
Yeah.
whatever. And then a lot of them are new construction, but it's the same. It's just business. The only difference is marketing and sales, pretty much for service and remodeling. It's more proactive marketing, but most commercial guys are pretty much relationship and bid driven. But the problems. So as you're going to grow, what I find is most small business owners who started their own company and are growing it up. Now you got 2 employees, now you got 6, now you got 8. You get to the point where you need help, and it's so funny. Your wallet is wired to your brain, and you will not spend a dollar because you're built cheap, and that's what we do. We try to do as much as we can with as little as possible. And if I need more stuff done, I'll just work all night myself. And so eventually you have no life, and you hate your job, you hate your company, and you hate your family. You don't hate them, but they hate you. And it's just a nightmare. So why are you in business? You're in business to deliver the results that you want. What results do you want? You want to have a life. You want to have freedom. You want to build investment, passive income. That's what you want. You don't want to do stuff. You don't want to put pipe in the ground, or you don't want to do remodeling. I mean, that's fun. That creates an opportunity for you to build wealth and freedom. And so you have to let go. You have to delegate. Uh, you know, Look at all the big companies that are super successful. The owner's not doing much. He plays golf and shows up a couple days a week. I got a bunch of friends who are 50 millionaires, 20 millionaires. They go in once a week, and the
Yeah.
company's still cranking. I've got a carpenter friend who started his own company. He just bought a $20 million jet. He's got 5 houses all over the country, and 20 million each. And he shows up 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
Because he's got people. He's willing to take a risk. So if you're not willing to take a risk, hire people. And if you're not making enough money, find better clients. Get out of your rut. Get out of your comfort zone. Get off that low price treadmill, I call it, the low bid treadmill. You got cheap jobs just keep coming in, so you just keep doing them, and you stay busy making no money and having no life. But you got to stop and get off that treadmill and go after good customers that respect what you do and will pay you what's fair. Now, nobody's going to give you extra money. You got to be competitive.
Yeah.
But if you hire, as a guy today I was talking to, if he needs to hire a general manager. If he hires a general manager, he can now go get more work. But when you're doing the work, you don't have time to go get work.
Yeah.
So there's two things we do as business owners. We find work, get work, win work, and we do it. Well, you shouldn't be doing anything of the work. You shouldn't be doing project management. You should review the estimates. You should do the sales. But, I've got jobs that were 5 million each. I don't even know what city they're in. I've never seen them.
Right.
Why should I? I got good people, and I make sure they do their job. So my job is to manage my people and get work. And if I focus on that, And I think, Chad, you were doing that pretty much. You were the sales guy or the get work guy, and you had a good team, right? And so most of the small business guys that are wanting to grow have to let go to grow. The
I
more you,
did. I mean, I was out. 2014, I was out. I didn't work there. I didn't have a desk. As a matter of fact, the last 5 years, I didn't have a key to the place. When I sold, the new owner asked for my key, and I looked over at my CFO. We laughed. He goes, "Chad doesn't have a key." And it was just
yeah,
one of the reasons why I bought the business. He walked in to buy a couple trucks of ours that we had for sale, and he was a construction guy. He's just like you. He's a construction guy that owned a little AC company. And his stuff is all messy. He doesn't really run it
yeah,
really well. He sees my CFO that, that he's not. I didn't meet the guy until I closed.
yeah.
I mean, everything was running. We just kind of talked to lawyers and stuff. And I didn't actually meet him to the day I took his big fat check, but it's like he's like looking at the place going, I want to buy this place. I mean, they got 40 people running around. They all know what they're doing. It's organized chaos and nobody's yelling. Everybody knows what they're doing. I want to buy this place. So he made an offer, and I first offer was ridiculously no. And so I said, come back with a better offer because that one was not even considerable.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I made a little, what's our low and what's, above, where's our line? And of course, the guy came in right at the line. So I didn't even negotiate. I said, if they hits this line, we'll take it. So we
Right.
took it. But like, I was just talking to I was on a forum just yesterday. And I don't remember what niche it was. And they were talking about hiring, and a couple of small time guys, like solopreneurs, got on there and said, yeah, this is why I don't hire and why I'll never grow. And I messaged one of them. I said, well, you know, politely, you're never, but he said he wish he could. So in his comment,
But you
I
can't
just
do
wish I
both. You
could.
can't do yes and no.
Yeah, I know. So he says he like bashes, and then he says, "But I wish I could." So I messaged that guy because he left, he opened the door for me to message him, and I said, "Well, if you really want to, you know, it's a learned skill to run a business. Like
Right.
it's not something that even people go to college to learn. So if you're interested in actually not being in the truck and on the tools anymore, I can help you." He's never replied. He's not responded.
I call it chucking a truck
Yeah.
stuck in the no buck zone, chucking a truck with no bucks and with the phone in his ear in the no profit zone. But I have a lot. I have friends. I've used guys that remodel my house and stuff they just want to be one man band. That's fine. I have no problem with people who are happy being one man, but don't complain. Get over it. If you're not willing to hire, invest money in the future, you can't build a business with no money.
Right.
Go to the bank, get a loan, get a loan. What are you talking? Yeah, get a loan. Big boy. Be a business person, right? You know, and get out of your own way. If you're not willing to hire and delegate, you're never going to grow. So and it's time and money. I call it time and money. You spend money, you get time. If you don't spend money, you have no time.
Right.
So you spend money to build a future. So you hire good people, and you don't hire cheap. You hire cheap, you get little puppy dogs that follow you around all day, and you got to just your full time job is keeping them busy, right?
Yeah.
So you have to get off that little cheap wallet tied to your brain scenario and be willing to invest. If you're not willing, just stay small and quit complaining.
So I just signed
And
a new
go home
client.
and get screamed at every night that your kids are soccer and you're not there. Just get over it. That's your life.
Listen to this, George. So a guy in my new group I'm in, messaged me 3 or 4 weeks ago. Wanted me to talk to him. It took him a couple weeks to finally. I did my free session with him to see how it
Yeah.
was. This guy can't afford me. There's not a chance in hell this guy can afford me. But guess what? He's writing a check tomorrow, and
Yeah.
because he goes, I've been in my own way. Everything you said. He's like, I'm ready to not be this guy anymore. I want to build a business. And I said,
Right.
and I actually today, I actually gave him a little discount because it's a new group. I said, listen, I'm going to give you a discount. And he's like, really? I said, well, I saw, because he could, like last week at the discovery call, I usually take their money then. And he goes, well, I got to get some checks in. I'll pay you next week. So today he's like, yeah, I'm going to pay you. I said, you know what? I'm going to give you a little discount today because you're my numeral founding member of my new group. And he's like, oh,
Yeah,
great. And so,
special.
yeah, you're special. And so, but I get, so when I gave him a couple action steps last week, and we had to do an evening thing because we decided to help him out. I
Much
said,
all
let's
day.
do a 7:30 call because I know you're out there. Well, he has one helper. I said, I want to go during your day right now. We'll do it. But when we start coaching, it's going to be during the day, but not. Well, I'll do this one for you at this time. I gave him two action steps, and he texted me at 10:30 at night. He was done with the action steps. He's motivated. I'm like, perfect client. I mean, I'm going to build this guy's business, and I'm going to do it fast. I mean, he doesn't do any marketing at all.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
it's the easy thing. Let's just start marketing. And and
half
and
my clients can't even spell marketing.
I know,
You have to teach them how to get out of the low bid market.
right?
It's like so obvious. All my guys who make the highest profit have relationship businesses based on sales relationship building, and they have a marketing program to back it up.
Right.
You
Well, I
know,
mean, with marketing, you also have to target your ideal client. Like, so
right?
one of the things I ask everybody, out of everything you do, like let's just say a remodel, out of everything you do, what's your favorite thing and most profitable thing to do? And let's see where that is. And
Yeah,
typically, their most profitable thing is their favorite thing to do, typically. And so they give me a list. They give me four things that you guys do, and you tell me what it was. So when they tell me, it's like, okay, well, let's market that.
right.
I mean, don't be even though you're a general manager. I mean, a general remodeler. Let's not just say you're a general remodeler. Let's go after if you want $200,000 kitchen remodels. Well, let's market South Lake and
Right.
Plano and
The high zip codes.
high
I know.
areas for kitchen
I know.
remodels.
I know.
You know,
I've got a couple of residential clients, yeah, a handful over the years. I've got about four right now that, it's not my main focus, but I love helping them. But I'm not an expert on figuring out how to get the housewife to pick the right colors and all that.
yeah,
But they got software for all that and everything now, Builder Trend
right.
and some other things. But you know, they first call and they call because they're stumped. They're running in circles, treadmill, and they what help? Okay, I'll help. First of all, who are your best clients? What should you focus on? Why don't you just focus on the high-end zip codes with the Tudor or the stone or the three-story with a tower or
The
you know
slate roofs, the
the
slate
three
roofs. That's
million
always,
dollar
yeah,
the $3 million zone.
yeah.
One of my clients is in Boston area. I was just there a few weeks ago at one of my meetings, and I called him, and he's a big home builder, the custom homes. He drove me around to all this. I got there a day early. He drove me around. He didn't have any under construction under 3 million, and these are beautiful places. I mean, gorgeous, and everything's first class. He's making a lot of money because he's not focused on the $100,000 remodel. His
Right.
minimum remodel like 2 million, you know, and he doesn't live in that zone, but it's 15 minutes away. That's his market.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
so
you know what the biggest thing about too, and I think you can attest to this. You have to pick your market.
right,
You have to intentionally go after what you want, and a lot of people just don't get it. It's like, like you said, if you want to be a chuck in the truck and you want to keep going after the little bathroom painting jobs, and maybe you put in some new fixtures, yeah, go do those $1,500, $2,000 jobs. Or do you want to whole gut the whole downstairs and redo the whole downstairs for $300,000? Which do
the
you like?
basement. Yeah. So one of my this is a long time ago. I've been doing this for about 15 years, but one of my very old clients, he's a young guy though, he's probably 40. He was around 30 when I met him. I don't remember exactly. His dad had a little remodel company on medical buildings, and the son took it over and now he's doing 30 million or 40 million. But when I first met him, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? And he
Yeah.
goes, well, we're doing some retail and I'm doing some medical and I'm doing some, whatever office. I said, well, what's your dad known for? Well, he's the king of dialysis centers. The dialysis, you go in and get
Yep.
blood and all that. And he says, he's the king. Everybody knows my dad, but he just doesn't want to work anymore. I said, well, why don't you just be a medical construction expert and specializing in dialysis centers and blood places and emergency rooms or whatever. He dumped everything and 100% dialysis and medical. He went from like 3 million to 25 million with huge net profits. I'm talking 20% net,
Wow.
not gross, net on 20 million in like 5 years by focusing on dialysis. So he ended up becoming the dialysis king. California, Nevada, Oregon, Arizona, and even Hawaii. And he just exploded because he focused. So now he's on LinkedIn and he's got his blog thing and this and that, and it's all medical. And Dallas has become overbuilt. So now he's moved into emergency rooms and senior center care things. But it's just like, so all of my clients who make the most money have a specialty, and that's all they do. They might do a little more of this and that. Some of them have a veteran business. They're a veteran, so they go after veteran buildings, business. They go after the veterans, or they got a disabled. They're disabled in the war or something. They got chopped up or whatever. They're fine now, but so they get the disabled set aside. Maybe you're Hispanic, maybe you're Black, maybe you're whatever, and that's where those guys make the most money. Or some of my best clients only work on Army bases. Oh, that's too much paperwork. Yeah, that's because there's more money there.
Right.
The harder it is, the more money. Those really high-end custom homes, there's a lot of tricky stuff in there. That's where the money is. Yeah. It's not building a four-wall drywall and paint job, like you said. Let's
talk about this real quick, George. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
You're coaching this guy whose dad's the king. He's a pauper, but he's still in the family, right?
Well, he becomes
the prince, and then now the new king. And it was off of one conversation you had him as a business coach that changed his world.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what
more than once, but you go on his website now. It's medical construction contractor.
Yeah.
It doesn't say we build it whatever you got for low price.
But I'm trying to bring this back to coaching. As I'm trying to tell people that's on the fence or never had a business coach, it's like that guy probably would have been a generalist the rest of his life and maybe made it to 10 or 15 million. But he would have never
2%, which is commercial averages, 2 to 3.
Yeah. And so, but because you put in that little plant in him and say, well, listen, what does your dad do? You were around that your whole life. Why don't you do the same thing? And all of a sudden you open his mind. I'll tell you, I had a guy, my very first coaching client was on the same level as me. At that time, I was about $4 million company. He was like $4.5 million company, landscaper. I already had a pretty good business as a landscaper doing commercial lawns and sprinklers. Right. And so I think he had like 5 or 6, huge crews that went out there, and built the yards, put the sprinklers in, all that kind of stuff. And brings me in. He actually was a referral from my insurance lady who found out I was a business coach. So he actually didn't want to meet with me. And so he meets with me and I signed him that day. He was like, everything we talked about, he's like, okay, I need you in my head. So let's start. So
it's amazing how much some of these people think they know. And after about an hour with them, they go, shoot, I don't know nothing.
I know. Well, you just start steering.
Let's get started now. Can we fix this all in a month?
Yeah.
Well, it takes time to fix stuff.
It does.
You got to put in systems. You got to train them. You got to get their P&L squared away. You got to get them a bookkeeper who can add,
Well, we went through him. We went through, he was the whole story. I pretty much flipped his entire office over in about 3 months. All of them. I helped him get rid of everybody.
Right.
And so we now
bet you some of them were relatives.
None of them were relatives, and thank God on that one.
That's rare.
But so we get to about the 3rd month, we flipped over the whole office. Now it's time to start looking at the sales team. He had 4 salespeople that essentially they just went out there and coddled people. They never sold anything.
Donut delivery service.
They just literally just went out and shook hands, and they never sold or up.
No
they'd have like Pulte Homes. And like they'd go and shake the Pulte Home guy's hand and anything going on and kind of service them that way. I'm like, well, did you try to sell Pulte more jobs and get more homes? Like, no, no. So I was a
I'm
question
a
that I asked.
relationship builder.
Yeah, I
You know,
was like,
the
okay,
old real
build the
estate.
relationship, but also where's the sales? You
Well,
know,
the old sales, residential sales. There's two kind. There's hunters and there's farmers. Farmers just out there creating, but there's the hunters who just shoot to kill,
well,
and they
sometimes
make all the money.
sometimes those hunters need to farm too,
Oh, yeah,
and these
I
guys were
know.
only farming, but they were growing bad wheat. It just was, nothing was really coming. So I looked at his people and I said, listen, I'm building, and at the time I was building a pool, and my pool builder did not do landscaping. That's not part of the package, and I don't want to deal
Right.
with it. So I end up talking to my pool builder, and I'm like, so I'm sure you know a lot of pool builders. Yeah, he goes, how many pool builders do landscaping? He goes, hardly any of them here in Dallas.
Duh,
Okay.
opportunity.
So I went ding dong, right? Ding ding ding. So the next week, I might even texted Jason at the time. The next week, seeing I used to go visit him instead. I wasn't a big Zoom guy with him. He didn't like Zoom. So
Oh,
I
you're
go,
local.
listen, let's take your salespeople and let's start focusing on getting pools. He's like, what do you mean pools? And I told him the story. He's like, okay. I said, so and then we developed the whole sales process, a whole cold call deal, all this kind of stuff, and what the way we could do it. I coach him for so his business starts going really well. He actually fired. He didn't even need one of the got down to three salespeople, and I quit coaching him probably about a year and a half later, which he was doing great. Calls me up. I guess so. I coached him from 19 to right after COVID, so a little almost 2 years. Calls me up about a year and a half ago. Goes, Chad, I just got an offer from my company for 40 million.
Oh
We're
my
doing
God.
we're doing about 23 million a year now. And I went,
Did you ask him
really?
for a commission?
I shit, and I'm just like, really? I said, I did ask for the review. I said, go do a review on Google. So, it's something, at least something. And but yeah, and so then he calls me up earlier this year. He goes, I didn't sell. I need a chimney guy. I took some of my profits. I bought some land, and now I'm a land developer too. And I'm building a
Oh.
whole community. I need a chimney guy. And I'm like, okay, well, I know one of them. And so,
No,
but he never sold his landscaping company, but it's doing probably $25 million now
yeah,
a
when I
year.
think about, you know, just everybody's different, but a lot of guys need systems. So they try it themselves. They put in systems. Usually they're not the right ones because they don't have the experience of like you and I working with 20 other people or 50 other people.
Yeah.
Which systems? Well, every foreman must do a daily report, those, and must do a look ahead schedule every week of what they're going to do next week. It needs to be reviewed by the project manager every week on the site. Oh, God, that seems like a lot of work. Yeah, but that makes you perfect.
Right.
Now, you cannot do that and hope it happens and end up with a whole bunch of bad customers and lose a lot of money. Or you can do it a little bit harder way and get it right,
Yeah.
and just one after another after another. So a lot of them will put in, we'll do an org chart and a line of command, helping them figure out I asked their five people, who you report to? They all say they report to the boss, even though they got somebody over them. They
Yeah.
all think they can go around, especially when you grow. So we do an org chart, we do job descriptions, and they got to do this on Tuesday and this on Thursday. And then I go, well, are they doing them? No. Why not? Because most entrepreneurs are really bad at holding people accountable. They're entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are basically people pleasers. That's
Yep.
why they're good at sales. They're really bad managers. You ever
Yep.
find that out, Chad?
Oh, that's why it's such a learned situation to run a
No,
business, right?
managing a job is different than managing people.
Right.
I can manage a job, great. I was a good PM, but I manage people. Forget it, man. I avoid confrontation. I don't know. Most people do. Most business owners avoid confrontation.
See, I was
You know,
always good at the people, the managing people, because coming out of the military, I just was ingrained that I implemented the system and then I followed up with the system. So
right?
that's where everyone fails. Oh, I built a system. I can't tell you how many people I've had, they've been coached by somebody else. And right behind them, I see a bookshelf with lines of folders, binders of SOPs. And I'll say, we'll be talking to them. I said, okay, so what's your sales process? What's your SOP for that? And they always go back there. I said, somewhere back there. I see. So let me guess. If you went back there, could you like do this? And there's a bunch of dust on them. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah. I said, so, okay. So the way you're going to build SOPs is actually build the system and then make it part of the everyday life. Because if you
Right.
don't, it's a binder sitting back there. So if you have sales guys out there and if you're the sales manager as the owner or you hire a sales manager, the whole process is he looking at every job? Does he know Mrs. Smith's job? Well, no, he's not paid to do that. I said, bullshit. He is too paid to know Mrs. Smith. He may not be the salesman out there, but he should darn sure know what the gross profit is on this job and, and what are we doing? What does it cost?
Right.
He should know all that. And he should know that the day of, not 3 days later because he's behind. And so how are you going to help close if they don't close on the spot? Because in our business, a lot of times they're closed on the spot, but 40% of everything is closed later. So
Right.
how are you going to help him close later if you don't even know the job? And so
Right.
I talk to all these business owners, and they're the same way because they're the salespeople right now, or they're the sales manager again. They have a couple. I'm like, well, do you know your your sales guys' jobs? They never do. And I'm like,
Right.
well, how do you? So I'm guessing you trained them off of some dusty stuff in the back there. Pretty much you
They
osmosis
came to work. He
the
walked around
osmosis.
for 2 days
Yep.
and said,
Follow
"Go
me and do
sell."
what I do is how they train, right? And there's nothing really to do. Show them how to do the write up an estimate, and that's it. It's like, well, that's not a process. That's a process that doesn't work, but that's not a real
Right.
successful, building into a process. And so, so you just start having to learn to teach people that listen, the most freedom you're going to get is when you put in the work so that you don't have to work.
Right.
I
So I
mean,
always say the more work you do, the less you make. The more work you personally do as the business owner, the less money you'll make because you're restricted by how much you can do. Your company growth is stopped when you're maxed.
yep,
And if you're not willing to do something. So what happens is you do an org chart on a company. You got the president, then you got the VP of operations, whether it's sales, construction, service, whatever it is. So you got the president, then you got the VP, then you got the project manager and the superintendent or the foreman or the crew leader, or whatever, right? So that's a pretty much standard org chart. The problem is the owner forgets that he's also the manager of the project manager and the field supervisor.
yeah,
So there's nobody managing the people. There's an owner and a bunch of workers who are not getting led and managed. So you can't just keep running around in circles and not manage your people. How do you manage your people? Simple. You meet with them every week, mandatory 10 a.m. meeting or Tuesday or Thursday or whatever day it is. And you sit down and you go through the entire list. Are you on schedule? Are you on budget? Have you ordered all the stuff? Have you met with a customer? Do you have changes to price? You got their pricing in on time? Did you follow up? You got your list of 10 things. That's your job as a manager to hold them accountable. You don't have to be a mean, nasty guy. You just got to go through the list. So I learned the hard way that if I have a good list system, I just have to manage the systems. And if the people will either do it or they don't work for me, it's simple. But my job is to hold them accountable. And
yep,
I do it with checklists and systems. So the business owner, a lot of our clients have to also manage their people. They have to stop running around, whatever they're doing, putting out fires, and manage their people, and the fires go away. So you got to have a system in place. You got to have SOPs, standard procedures, and then you got to make sure it's happening. If I always say, if you were a big, huge company and you were hire a VP of production, what would you expect that guy to do? Go around and make sure that it's getting done,
yeah.
not just run around in circles. And so the old classic is I use this example all the time. I used this what I used to do before I was never smart. I never figured out perfectly how to manage my people because I was never very good at it. Now that I know that I coach, I see how to do it. And I wish I would have done that. But remember the old Tom Peters? He had this thing, MBWA, management by wandering around. He would say, just get out there with your people. And so this is 30 years ago, books, the gurus back then. And so that's what I do. I go walk down the hall. I have 3 or 4 project managers in a row in the hall, all of their own offices. Hey, Joe, how you doing? How's that job going? Pretty good. Are you on schedule? Yeah, pretty much. You gonna finish on time? Yeah, I think we will. I'll make it happen. You get paid for everything yet? Yeah, sort of. We're okay. Now he just lied to me 5 times in a row. He's over budget. He's behind schedule. He didn't bill for extras. The customer's pissed off because he didn't respond with his finish schedule on time, et cetera, right? Now, if I would have sat down with him and gone through the list, but I was too busy to stop. I really didn't want to hear what he had to say. I'm trying to go to the restroom. Just having to walk by his office, right?
Well, isn't that truth though? It's funny how people, owners, we're talking the entrepreneur business owner. They're okay with mediocrity and everything else as long as it's I don't even know how to really say this properly. As long as it stays someone else's problem until it becomes a financial issue. Right. It's like, and then all of a sudden they wonder why their whole company just tanked.
Or why it's a fire drill every day too.
Right.
You should come home. How was your day? Oh, I solved this problem. I solved this problem. I solved this problem. No, your job's not to solve problems. Yeah. Your job is to manage your people to solve the problems. Yeah. And so, that MBWA doesn't work anymore. I've got to set management meetings. I'm also the VP of operations, not just the president, and I got to manage my people. So the poor leaders, poor managers who fail tolerate poor performers.
Correct.
You just said it. We accept mediocrity. And that's a sign of weakness. So if you tolerate good old Joe, who's a slug, everybody else in your company knows that you don't really care if Joe toes the line. So guess what they do? They goof off too. They're on Facebook all day on their computer, or they're late with their stuff. Your accountant's always late. The P&L's not on your desk by the 20th of every month. Yeah. I just didn't have time. Payroll's always late. Well, there's no excuse. My must-dos, P&L by the 15th, payroll every week, job cost report updated every Monday by 10 a.m. Those are mandatory requirements so I can hit my goals. How do I hit my goals if I don't know where I am? My bookkeeper's got to tell me where I am. So I need to have a financial meeting every Monday with my bookkeeper at 4:00. It's mandatory. We go over all the job costs. Well, I haven't looked at my job costs. You ever hear that one, Chad? I haven't looked at my job costs since I met with my accountant last April 15th.
Well, more on my side of it is as I ask them what their margins are, and they always say, well, they're 55 or 35%. I'm like, okay, let's pull up a job and let's see.
Yeah.
And they're always so confident it's right. And then all of a sudden I get to the 15% number. I said, and then you start hearing the excuses. Well, we had to buy this, we had to do that. It rained.
Oh, it's never their fault.
Yeah. It's just like, all of this, is totally bad management. And so, and you hired me to call you out. So here we are. You want 50% margins? Okay. So what went wrong with this job so we can get 50% margin? And start, I like to, reverse engineer everything that they're doing.
Yeah. You start at the problem, you find the solution.
Right.
The guy I was talking to this morning, they're a big underground service company. They do a lot of water service for the water companies. When stuff breaks, they go fix it. They got, I don't know, like 40 guys, and they do like 20 million. And I said, but the owner, and he's got a general manager. The owner says, but we're not hitting our numbers. And the guy says, well, yeah, I know, yeah. And I go, well, okay. A couple of calls ago, I said, look at your last 5 jobs, and where did you go over? Well, because he doesn't even know. And he goes, so today they tell me they went over on equipment. Equipment? What are you talking about? Well, we have the traffic here in Boston or so, up there where it's super crowded. It might take 2 hours to go 20 miles, Right. And he goes, well, we didn't put extra time in for the trucking. Well, how could that cost you, hundreds of thousands of dollars? And they go, well, it's got to be something else too. I go, yeah, let's figure it out. I can't solve your problem unless I know what the problem is,
Right.
the root of the problem. But the main problem with smaller companies, they have no clue where they are on their job cost.
Yeah.
You don't know if they send a guy out. Now, if you're on T&M, time and material cost plus, who cares? If you know your margins and your crew rates and your equipment rates, I'll just say, what's your burden rate on your employee? What's your lead guy cost you per hour? Well, I pay him 20. What's it cost you? I don't know, probably 25. No, it's 30 or 32. What's your truck cost per hour? How much do you think a pickup truck costs you to own per hour or per month? It's like 2,500 a month plus gas. That's what it costs to own a pickup. Well, divide that by so many hours. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's $50 an hour for a truck. What's in your budget? Nothing. Trucks are free, I guess, right? No, they're
Yeah.
not. So
Well, it's
anyway,
funny
it's just
when they're
just
doing
think.
their when they're doing their gross margins and they don't hit them, it's everything you just said. It's like, okay, well, you're not accounting for all the costs that that come up, but you just do like the big numbers. Oh, okay, well, the construction material is this, labor will be this, and maybe a
Or
couple of
so much a
things.
square foot, or so much a
Yeah,
unit.
exactly. And it's like, okay, but that's why it's called job costing. So what
Right.
did it actually cost you? And I make everybody do call it what's called a nut report. It comes from the squirrel's nut report because when I first started doing this weekly report, it was really just a cash report for me.
Yeah,
My
right.
CFO would do, just tell me how much money I have. And then it became the entire like all the numbers, the guys' percentages, their sales, the marketing, all these numbers. This report became a better report than you could get off of QuickBooks any day. And so I would ask people or tell people, it's like, okay, so you sold. Let's look at a job and let's take a look at it. What was it sold for? 20 grand. Okay, so with that 20 grand, you say you made 10. Like, no, we made probably about six. Well, you told me your gross margins were 50%.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, ding, ding, ding. Well, that's why you get a
No.
report every week from your bookkeeper or someone
Well,
who's doing your numbers.
right. Well, let's go back to the owner and on a smaller business where they might have 10 employees. The owner is the money person. Nobody else
Yeah.
is. I doubt if at that size they're going to have a project manager who can add. They're mostly ordering material and doing paperwork and stuff. And but if the owners, I say, you don't even know how much you make. Why are you in business? When I go to these big conferences and speak at World of Concrete, there's 500 people in the room. I said, why are you in business? To make money. How much you want to make? As much as I can. How much you making? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Okay, let's go back to the first question. Why are you in business? How do you know if you make money if you don't know what you make? So
Right.
that's a huge problem. Nobody knows. I mean, as a business owner, can you imagine hiring a president of your company who doesn't watch the numbers? Yeah, it's like, really? How stupid am I? Right? Well, how
I
about you look yourself in the mirror? Do you know your numbers?
Yeah.
Anyway, we could go on for hours. This is crazy, but it's so much fun to talk about because it's so obvious if you just take a step back and look in the mirror or get somebody to give you an honest opinion of what you're doing right or wrong or what you need to do to improve. It's just and when you're in the heat, you think you're the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Why won't you let anybody in your company spend more than zero without calling you first?
Right.
You think y'all got a bunch of dummies working for you?
Yeah.
Well, if they're that dumb, they shouldn't work for you. No,
Yeah.
maybe you're the problem.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
on that note, our time is coming to a
yeah, I
close.
agree.
We
Okay.
are, George and I, we've been good friends and we kind of went our separate ways a little bit, but I think we'll have a part two to this eventually and have him
That'd
back
be
on.
great. I'd love to talk
Yeah.
about it. Anyway, hey,
Yeah.
if you go on Amazon, Hedley, Hedley, just type it in, get my book. It's got 400 pages of systems, checklists, and it comes with an Excel spreadsheet of all my business business plan templates. Okay.
So
So
name
if
the
I
book again, George, because I know what it's called. Turn your construction business into
construction
a
business,
profit-making machine.
yeah, that's my new book. It's been out about a month, so good luck. And
I read the first
I'm
book.
going to make a lot of money off you. I hope, like $6 a book.
Well, I am marketing to remodelers, so I will start pushing your book.
Yeah,
And
and if you
so,
want to, I've got a newsletter. I'm not trying to steal
nope,
clients,
nope, nope. This is what
but
you're on
I
for.
got a newsletter. Uh, just Google in George Hedley, and you'll find me, and you can sign up for my newsletter. Okay,
I will
that'd be
actually put the link to your newsletter in I'll do
or
my
just put my.
research. I actually get your newsletter, so that won't be hard.
I
I'll
just
find
sent
the
it out
link to.
today.
Did you?
Yeah, today's emphasis was get a plan, build a plan.
Oh, I actually well anyway, I'll find it. And so I got a
You'll
lot of
find it
email issues right
in your
now. Selling
junk.
I
In
lost
your
my email
junk.
from today selling my company. So I said, you guys, you ding dongs, you're not supposed to get rid of my email because I still get clients calling me all the time. And so they're in the
Yeah,
middle of fixing my email right now. But anyway,
yeah, I
guys,
know.
this is the great George Hedley,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you coming on. And I can't wait to see you, talk to you soon, and do this again.
Okay, man. Thanks, Chad.